Big Sills! Afternoon, all. What an absolutely awesome time in sports. This is clearly one of the best times I've ever seen. And you know what? And I mean it by this. The NFL constantly makes news. Football makes news. They have cornered the market on being on the front page of a sports page. They are now front and center always. NBA, Major League Baseball. You know, when you're now hearing that the Washington Commanders could go for $6 billion, and Daniel Snyder bought that team for roughly around $800 million, shows you the power of the NFL. They're Teflon. Nothing can happen to that league. Jerry Jones bought the Dallas Cowboys in 1989 for $154 million. Today, the team's worth $10 billion. Every calendar year, the net worth of these owners goes up big time. You know, they get a check stroke to them, all 32 owners, for $375 million alone just in TV. So when they're at the owners' meetings in Phoenix today, and they're all huddled around, these are the most influential people in sports and in politics. This is where all the money is. Why do you think the number one property when it comes to television is football? It's the biggest investment that networks make is football. You got two spring leagues for a reason now, XFL and USFL. There's a reason. Because of the appetite for football in this country. There's not an appetite to start another Major League Baseball league. There's no appetite to start another NBA or NHL. You got two new spring leagues because of pro football. It's amazing. It's amazing. Oh, and by the way, one of the things that makes the NFL so dominant is exactly what Jim Irsay said yesterday, the owner of the Colts. By the way, today is like the anniversary of the Colts picking up in Baltimore and moving to Indianapolis. Today's the anniversary of that. It's funny that he's barking, but Irsay goes like this. I don't have a problem with Lamar Jackson's money. I have a problem with Lamar Jackson wanting guaranteed contracts. I am 100% convinced that the National Football League doesn't care about the salaries. They'll never give guaranteed contracts to athletes. That's their bitch. It's not Jalen Hurts' salary. It's not his salary. It's the guarantees. That's how they control you. Remember, like I told you yesterday, the National Football League, okay? They're not in partners with the players. They're in partnership with the networks. That's who their partners are, the players. Hey, by the way, we're efforting today our friend Rick Barry. It's his birthday. Big Sills wants to get Rick Barry on because I want to talk to him about Embiid and what he did last night by not playing. Get his thoughts on the MVP. One of the top 25 players in the history of the sport. And today's his birthday, and he's my friend. So I got to wish him happy birthday, so indulge me. Rick Barry's a Cane. The Canes are in the Final Four. Got a lot to hit on with him, and I want to talk with him just for a little bit. Also, we're efforting Seth Joyner in the third hour at 5:30. So we'll talk with him. Okay, I want to get into the Lamar Jackson nightmare that's going on in Baltimore. Do you guys agree? And here's my take on this now. They've had 3 years to do this deal. 3 years. 3 years to get a deal done. And they didn't get it done. Isn't this the sign that Baltimore doesn't believe that Lamar Jackson can win a Super Bowl? Yes or no? Yes or no? Do you, as I do, believe that Lamar Jackson in Baltimore have come to the conclusion, now that Lamar knows now that they don't want him, and get this, here's an organization that drafted him and took a chance on him when you had general managers asking him to play another position. They took a gamble. A gamble. That paid off. Unanimous MVP. But isn't this the sign that Baltimore doesn't believe that Lamar Jackson, if he gets $50 million, can deliver a Super Bowl in Baltimore? That's how I read it. You agree? Okay. Howie Roseman, yesterday at the owners' meeting, and I guess the Eagles are being represented by Sirianni, Roseman, and Jeffrey Lurie, right? Said that a deal is imminent with Jalen Hurts. If Baltimore doesn't believe that style of play and that salary of $50 million won't deliver a Super Bowl in Baltimore, why am I to believe that Jalen Hurts is going to deliver one in Philadelphia? What would lead me to believe that? Because they got there last year. Colin Kaepernick got there. 2012. Had a pretty good 2013 season, too. What happened to Colin Kaepernick? Remember something with Kaepernick. Kaepernick didn't get yanked off that football team in San Francisco for kneeling. He got yanked off that football team for bad play. And the players around him. When he went 0-11 that one year, they sat his ass. Harbaugh left. Talented players around him started doing what? They started leaving. And the team wasn't the same. Why am I to believe that that style of play is going to deliver a Super Bowl in Philadelphia? Let me ask you this. So you don't believe that Lamar Jackson can win a Super Bowl in Baltimore. Why am I to believe Jalen Hurts will deliver one? Because they got there last year with a loaded team? That Howie Roseman said something yesterday at the owners' meetings. You know what that was? We were on a tight budget. We went to all the free agents, and we wanted to get a sense where they were. And we told them we have to pay the quarterback. So he was basically bargain shopping. Hey, this is what we have. That's why all of them left. It's funny how the narrative now in Philadelphia is, well, the Eagles offered people more money. No, they didn't. Because every free agent left but one. How's that possible? How is that possible that the Eagles are telling people, or at least the media is believing it, when everyone left for higher deals? The running back left. The guard left. The two safeties. I mean, the two linebackers left. The defensive tackle left. The backup offensive tackle, that Andre Dillard deal, still blows my marbles on what Tennessee sees in that. Maybe he goes there and he turns out to be a star. I don't know. Okay? 11. Don't ever compare Jalen Hurts to Steve Young. Steve Young led the National Football League like 6 years in a row in completion percentage. He was one of the most accurate passers in the history of the sport. Okay? Steve Young ran 4.4s, 4.5s. I played against him in high school. But he was also one of the most accurate. Hurts accuracy, Steve Young, not in the same conversation. Don't ever get that confused. Why am I to believe, and I don't believe Jalen Hurts will ever deliver a Super Bowl in Philly, making $50 million. Should the player be paid? Yes. You pay Kyler Murray? Absolutely. You're not winning a Super Bowl in Philadelphia with a running quarterback. You're not. You will never win paying a dual threat guy. They'll never stay healthy. By the way, watch this. Does he deserve his next turn up? Yes. Dak too, all that. But you're not going to win because you can't fund a team. All those signs that they made were bargain shopping. Howie said it yesterday. They were bargain shopping because they got to pay the guy. Now, to the benefit of the Eagles, you're not in the AFC. You're not in the AFC. And the offense is intact. I think you have a 2-year window to get this done. Last year and this year coming up. When that contract kicks in 2024, you'll never see a Super Bowl again. Not paying a dual threat guy $50 million. You won't. You won't. Because you can't build a team. It's not an Eagle thing. It's not a Jalen Hurts thing. It's the style of play and the money. Injuries, and you can't fuel and fund a team. Every single quarterback who's been paid, their team gets taken from them because of money. Look at remember what I told you. You're either going to be the Chiefs or the Cowboys. That's it. Chiefs or Cowboys. Some people go like this. Sills, are you saying the only guy that has a chance of winning a Super Bowl every year are the Chiefs and Mahomes? The big money quarterback, yeah. That's why Brock Purdy can get you to a Super Bowl. But people in Philadelphia media keep going, I don't know who's quarterbacking in San Francisco. Does it matter? Garoppolo, Purdy, Trey Lance, Colin Kaepernick. Does it matter? They get there. Because they don't pay them. Okay? I mean, Coleman says it will fall on Howie's drafts, not his free agency. Coleman, that's not his expertise. His expertise is free agency, not drafting. Okay? Listen, this is not a rip on Jalen. This is the system of the NFL. I know some people will take it, I'm not hating on him. And quite frankly, watch this. Baltimore is saying what I'm saying. Baltimore agrees with me. As good as Lamar Jackson is, he's not going to deliver a Super Bowl. That is a tough-ass decision to make on a 25-year-old player who's an MVP. You can talk shit to me and you can throw this at me and say that I'm hating on Jalen. Baltimore is agreeing with the way I think on how dual threat quarterbacks are. They're refusing to pay that money. That's why they put the restricted tag on him. And if he plays, he's playing for $36 million. Case closed. The Baltimore Ravens owner, Ozzie Newsome, agree with me that you're never going to win a Super Bowl in Baltimore paying a dual threat guy who's injured $50 million. Now, I said this the other day about Jalen. I think he's smarter than Lamar. He's not as reckless, which gives him a better chance. How about this? Jalen's going to give it a chance, though. Jalen Hurts will give it a chance. Because, get this, the two most reckless dual-threat quarterbacks, and you watch it every Sunday, are the dude in Buffalo and the dude in Baltimore. Jalen's not like that. He's going to give that a chance because he plays smarter. But still, at the end of the day, Baltimore sided with my take. Sided with my take. We can't build a roster paying a guy who's going to miss time $51 million. Like I said, you could say that I'm hating. You could say that I'm doing. Facts are, Baltimore agrees with me. Steve goes, the louder Sills yells, the dumber the argument. Really? Baltimore agrees, so Baltimore, it's dumb then, right? See, once again, you see what you want to hear. I'll say it again. You pay that guy $50 million, you'll never see the inside of a Super Bowl unless you're paying for a ticket. But you're going to have to, and you will. You will. Last year and this year are your window. Outside of that, it's over. You got a 2-year window, and one of them's already been used. You got a lesser football team this year, no matter what those idiots in Philly tell you. It's a lesser football team, and you know it. Stop lying and trying to make chicken shit look like chicken soup. It's not. It's chicken shit on defense. Hassan Reddick, the two corners. Graham, Sweat are your only decent players. Fletcher. Rest of them, and you get 5 new coaches. Arthur goes, $50 million will be a discount in 2 to 3 years. The cap's not going up that much, Arthur. It only went up $16 million. You're making it sound like the cap's going up $25 to $30 million a year. It went from 08 to 24. That's not the increase. The salaries of the quarterbacks are outpacing the cap increase. Jalen is not better than Russell Wilson. He is not. Out of your crazy mind. In his prime, Russell Wilson never happened. Not happening. And not true. Not true. Not true. Big Sills. Arthur said, this is why Lamar is raging against the machine. Arthur, the Baltimore Ravens don't believe in... No, watch this. They like him. I believe the Ravens really want to keep him. But for them to be competitive and build a roster around him, you can't. And then when he misses significant games, how do you build a team around a guy who's there and misses the amount of games? And by the way, Hurts is trending that way too now. Hurts has not played a season without missing ball games. That's not going to trend down. That's going to trend up. Okay? It's a tough position to be in. And look, you know what? Here's the thing, too, with Jalen. You want to pay him. You want to pay that guy. You like him. We all like him. True. Like his journey. Like it. Nothing personal, man. That style of play is not going to win you a Super Bowl. Now, I do believe in what Bruce Arians said. I believe what Bruce Arians said a couple weeks ago on the program. These dual threat guys are here to stay. They are. But if the Baltimore Ravens don't believe in that style, in paying a guy 51, and he's 25 years old, and he's won a unanimous MVP award, he's won over 75% of his ball games that he's been in. And if they believe he can't deliver, why are you going to believe it? Because you got there last year with a full deck team? Now that you don't, the entire side of the defense is going to be different. I don't care if you play the same system or the same scheme as you did last year. Your experience factor alone is not the same. Well, they got Brandon Graham and Cox. Great. Your linebacking core is decimated. Your safety position is decimated. Your depth in your D tackle position, decimated. Oh, we're going to go into the draft. You mean more inexperience. And you're going to take on, going into the draft is like going into the stock market. It's hit or miss. It's hit or miss. And many of Howie's top picks have been misses. Dillard's a miss. Barnett's a miss. Rager's a miss. As I said to you a couple days ago, his best picks have been the Mulattas in the 7th. Jalen Hurts in the 2nd. All guys who were drafted correctly and then overachieved. Okay, Kyle, Devontae Smith, correct. Devontae Smith, you're right. For every Devontae Smith, there's a Jalen Reagor. Last year was the first year you guys had a 1,000-yard receiver. You had 2 of them, which was sensational. Sensational. What was it, since Jeremy Maclin? And I would say this to you. This year, so when that contract at 24 next March kicks into $51 million, someone's gone. Mulata, Kelsey coming off the books next year. They won't invite him back, Jason Kelsey. They won't invite him back. You can't have 3 $15 million a year guys in your old line. No team in the league has it but the Eagles because the quarterback makes shit. See, it's the only team in the league that has that. If they didn't have to deal with Jalen Hurts' contract this year, I guarantee you Sayamalo may have been back. And they'd have paid him $12, $13 million. Then you have 4 guys in there. Okay? At the end of the day, the Baltimore Ravens laid it out for you. They're the first team to balk at this salary for a dual threat guy who's more accomplished than Hurts. He's more accomplished than Hurts individually by far. And they're balking and passing on it because they don't believe that style can deliver a Super Bowl. Every quarterback gets hurt at some point. No. Dual threat guys lose their wheels, they're finished. A quarterback like Brady blows his knee out, he's still Tom Brady. Once you get hurt as a dual threat guy and you lose one of the components that makes you dual threat, it's over. He's not going to stay in the league because of his arm. He's not Tom Brady. He's not any of those guys. He's a unique talent like Lamar. The Baltimore, you guys can talk shit to me all you want. The Ravens are laying it out for you. You're either going to play in Baltimore for $36 million, or we're going to get 2 ones, go into the draft and get another quarterback, and we're going to go on from there. The Ravens are the first organization to say no. They're not paying Kyler Murray. They're not going to pay a guy like Kyler Murray. They're not. And Lamar's better than Kyler Murray. They're passing on a 25-year-old MVP. Not wrong. It's happening. Why should the Eagles not at least have a conversation? What makes you think he's going to do more with $51 million? Jalen got to the Super. Lamar Jackson's never played with a team like that. Never. All loaded up like that, rocking and rolling. Never. Like I said, that's one of the best constructed football teams I've ever seen. 1 year, albeit. When's the last time the Ravens got a chip? I don't know what that means. All I know is that the Ravens have been a better organization than the Eagles since 2000. Their Super Bowls and their Hall of Famers are a testament to that. That's a fact. They've been a better organization since 2000 than you. I mean, the Ravens have been a dominant football organization, and they've passed on Lamar Jackson. And get this, with Ozzie still in the building, the guy who drafted him has passed. I don't remember any 4-win seasons in Baltimore. I don't remember that. All I remember are the Ed Reeds, the Ray Lewises, the Jamal Lewises, the Suggses. That's all I remember. I remember all them Hall of Famers they put in there. I mean, Ozzie Newsome, Jonathan Ogden. Are you nuts? That organization has put some of the greatest players in the league into the Pro Football Hall of Fame because Ozzie Newsome's stewardship of being able to run that franchise. What are you, nuts? See, now Jesse brings it back to reality here. Sills, what would you offer Hurts? Man, watch. You have to give it to him. It's still, though, you pay Jalen Hurts $50 million. It's not on Jalen. You'll cripple the roster. The Ravens know that. The Ravens know if you give Lamar Jackson $51 million, it'll cripple the roster more. And the dual threat aspect of being injured and missing games. It's a tough position to be, man. It really is. Because the more you pay the kid, you guys want to give him $60 million. $60 million affects so many other positions. Howie told you yesterday. He told you yesterday at the owners' meeting. We were bargain shopping. His own words. They went to free agents that they had identified that they wanted back. I'm paraphrasing here. They identified and said, this is what we have. We can't go above this. And for people to suggest that they gave CJ a better offer than what he took in Detroit is absurd. When Howie said yesterday, here's the numbers we're at. So they were going to give him more money, restructure, Slay? Come on, man. I think Howie didn't want to pay a safety and a D tackle. Because he knows he had, by the way, a safety and a tackle, $10 million and $20 million, I don't think he's wrong. How about that? I don't think Howie Roseman's wrong. I don't, $10 million for a safety? I don't know. A little rich. $20 million for Javon Hargrave? I don't think so. Dude, if I'm telling you that Jordan Davis was overdrafted, I'm telling you Javon Hargrave was overpaid because he ain't the run stopper. And if you're not the run stopper and a good pass rusher, you better be Aaron Donald. And that guy ain't Aaron Donald. You're paying that guy Aaron Donald money? He ain't Aaron Donald. This guy had a career year against shitty O-lines. Not me, man. Way overpaid. Way overpaid. I don't think Howie's wrong there. He gave the lesser of the two $10 million because he was bargain shopping because he's got to pay Jalen. Jalen Hurts' contract is affecting why they didn't sign Bobby Wagner and they signed the dude from Chicago. Every single thing that I'm saying here, Baltimore showing you. That contract negotiation in Baltimore has ramifications on how you could see the future on what the Eagles do with Jalen Hurts. We see it all the time. Even with the prototype quarterbacks, we see it. Derek Carr, failure. It was a failure in Las Vegas. Carson Wentz, failure. Jared Goff, failure. All those big money contracts have been bombs. Eagle Way goes, any information, Joe Burrow and Herbert? I know the Chargers. Hey, watch this. Somebody asked me this about, thank you, Eagle Way. Somebody asked this to me about Justin Herbert winning a Super Bowl. With the Spanos family? Never happened. Never happened. They're a joke of a family. They don't give a shit about football. They care about nickels and dimes. You know they're the only NFL owner that doesn't own his own stadium or at least a piece of the place? He pays Stan Kroenke. I think they got to pay Stan Kroenke like $1 a year. Honest to God, for rent. I think all concessions go to Stan Kroenke. They don't even own their own building. Even the stupid Jets share profits at MetLife. They don't even own their own building. They got thrown out of San Diego. Nobody's ever going to build another building in California ever again for a professional sports team. That's never going to happen because of the taxes. Kroenke had to open up his wallet and his Walmart money to build that bitch himself. He funded that entire stadium. Completely funded it. You weren't going to get taxpayer monies or you were going to put bonds together. Go to city councils. Oh, shit. Nobody gives a shit about pro sports in California. Nobody. I mean, how many times did we watch the Rams games last year? Dude, don't let an Eagle fan get into that building, man. They'll make the Rams look like jerks. Their car bombed with that contract. So this is a tough position to be in. I think the Eagles are going to, without a doubt, pay him. It's a mistake, but you can't get away from it. Because what's the alternative? Doing what Baltimore's doing? Baltimore had to make that contract negotiation ugly. Okay? They had to. Because they were never going to give him $50 million. They came to the conclusion, along with Ozzie, who's like a senior executive to the owner. They clearly made the decision they weren't going to pay him. And now this is what you got. They have him on the open market. Teams, hey, how about this? How many people believe the Ravens want to trade and get Lamar off their books and get those 2-1s to move up and get one of these quarterbacks? How many people believe that? I do. Collusion, Arthur? Probably. Collusion? Probably. Jay says, since 2000, both franchises have had only 5 losing seasons and almost identical. Yeah, but one's got a Super Bowl. One's got 2 Super Bowls. 2, last time I checked, was more than 1. Okay? Cut what out? Boy, I'll tell you, man, when you point the truth out to people, here you go again. Baltimore agrees with every single spin that I've had on these $50 million quarterbacks. They're passing on a $25 million MVP. And I said this to you a couple days ago. He won MVPs when Brady was still in the league, Rodgers, Breeze. He won this in 17. Mahomes, all them dudes. Unanimous. Steve goes, truth is subjective. What am I not speaking the truth? Do you believe the Baltimore Ravens on March 28th don't believe Lamar Jackson can win a Super Bowl for them? Yes or no? Yes or no? Do you believe Baltimore believes Lamar? Do you believe it? Arthur says yes. Then why are they putting him on the market? Then why are they letting him go somewhere else? You think it's the smart move in negotiations to put an MVP on the open market at 25 and has won the amount of games that he's won, and you think that's smart? All they have to do, a team, is say this: I'll pay him $51 million. Here's 2 1s. Baltimore's not matching that, or they would. You see, the Eagles are going to be negotiating against themselves. Because if Lamar Jackson can't get $51 million on the open market, this is going to tell you what Jalen Hurts is. Remember what I asked you guys a couple days ago? Do we agree that Lamar Jackson, whatever he gets, Jalen should get? Almost 90% of you said yes. Well, right now he's getting $36 million. That's what the tag is. If nobody offers him $51 million and the Ravens 2 1s, he's scheduled to make $36.5 million this year. Is that what Hurts should get? We all agreed. Lamar's not an overachiever. He's not. A Heisman Trophy winner who went on to win the NFL's Most Valuable Player Award. It's not overachieving. And he's a first rounder. Jalen Hurts is overachieving. He's a second rounder. He's overachieving. Joe Montana overachieved, a third rounder. Brady overachieved. Tony Romo even, undrafted, overachieved. All those guys overachieved. They weren't expected to start and be starting quarterbacks in the NFL. No matter what these idiots in Philly tell you about Hurts in the second round, nobody said that he'd be a franchise quarterback. He's overachieved. You're drafted in the first round for a reason. Dakota Prescott, overachieved. 4th or 5th rounder. The NFC's littered with overachieving quarterbacks. Kirk Cousins, Dak Prescott, Jalen Hurts. All of them. And in the AFC, you have all the Tiffany guys. All first rounders, some first picks overall. Trevor Lawrence, Joe Burrow, Mahomes a first-round pick. All of those guys, man. Justin Herbert, first round. Tagovailoa, first rounder. All guys who were expected to be franchise guys. Lamar did a lot with less. So now you want even less. If you pay him $50. That's what look, guys. I think Jeffrey Lurie and I think Howie Roseman yesterday kind of basically told you what the landscape is here. They were bargain shopping because they got to pay the guy. When you're bargain shopping, and Howie Roseman said it yesterday at the owner meetings. Hey, we told these free agents, we have a budget this year and a tight one. And here we are. That's code for cheap or frugal. They had to be. The priorities was trying to get Gardner Johnson and the corners back intact. That was a priority. And they pretty much did a pretty decent job of it. You know, and I'm going to say this one more time to you. I think Howie limited a lot of the damage. I do. I think he limited a lot of the damage. But you're half a team right now. I don't care what any brand new coaches on defense, everything. Got to pay your guy. Baltimore's dropping of the ball, so to speak. Dude, the Ravens organization had 3 years to get this deal done. And they whiffed. Lamar said, F it. I'm out of here. That's why he demanded a trade on the second. I've had enough of this. He's had enough of it. And I don't blame him. But now he's finding this out. Well, I think teams would surrender 2 ones. They're not going to put $50 million and 2 ones. That's the entire future of your team. You see, that's the one thing Howie has here. Howie has to create draft capital. That's why I'm telling you, that 10th pick, he's moving down. If one of those superstar guys like Jalen Carter or Tyree Wilson, if one of those guys is there and maybe one of those DBs, those cornerbacks, he might take that. But if not, I think he's out of that pick, down to 15, get some draft capital for rounds 2 and 3. He's got a ton of picks coming up in 24. I think that's how it's going to roll. Because if you got to pay the guy, you don't want to surrender your picks. That's the one thing that is saving this whole offseason here, too. You got the corners. You're going to pay Hurts. You got to get more draft picks. You only have 6 right now to retool that team. And you ain't retooling it at the dollar store. That's the position they're in. The owner used to fight the running backs on the same thing about money with running backs was elite in the early 2000s. Now the quarterbacks are going for the same thing about money. Gold goes, we're not trading down. So in his opinion, it's not smart to get 3 players for the price of 1. Tells you how dumb some people are. You move down to 14 and you land your guy anyway. You get your guy. You get multiple picks to fill multiple positions. This jackass wants to get one guy at 10 and take a gamble. Why not take a gamble on 3 dudes? One of those guys may be an all-pro. It's about the law of averages. Howie's not very good in the draft. Especially at positions you need to fill. Linebacker and safety. He feels pretty good about his running backs, he says. How do you say that with a guy who started 2 games in a row for 5 years? How do you feel good about the Rashad Penny deal, knowing full well that guy has only started 2 games a season in the last 5 years, and he's a first-round bust? How do you feel good about that? It's wishful thinking. D goes, who's your guy? Who's my guy? My guy at 10? Or maybe 14? What's the position that saves Jalen Hurts a lot of pain and maybe not getting hurt? Is B.J. Robinson. He's rated the 5th player in the draft. But you know what the Eagles will do? They'll do what they did last year. They'll overdraft a guy. That's what they do in the first round. They overdraft. They got Devontae. I think Devontae sitting around that 10 number. That's probably about right. That's probably about right. Gibbs would be down in the 20s, late 20s, maybe early second round. Remember, Derrick Henry went in the second round. Isn't that funny? Get this. If you had to redraft Derrick Henry, would he not be the number 1 pick in this coming draft this year? And not a second rounder? Would you draft him number 1 overall? If you had to go back into that draft knowing what you know now? Would you draft him number 1 overall? He's a running back. Would you still take him number 1 overall? Well, he's a running back, Dan. This kid, B.J. Robinson, could be that. He's electric. He's got a little bit of Reggie Bush in him and a little bit of Adrian Peterson in him. Man, I had this argument with Bruce Allen and John Gruden, and they still took Cadillac Williams. You know what my contention was with that guy? My contention with that guy was this. You know, he didn't even start on the Auburn team. The other guy started. The other guy started. He was like the alternate guy. Sills, would you trade for Henry or would you draft Bijan? I like the question. But because I got to pay Hurts, I'm going to go in the draft and go cheaper. Then I could cut Penny. Ronnie Brown, thank you, 215. Ronnie Brown was the starter on that Tommy Tuberville Auburn team that went undefeated. I think all 3 guys got drafted. I think the quarterback got drafted to Washington. I think Brown went to the Chargers. And I think Cadillac went to the Bucks. All 3 of them guys got drafted in the first round. I believe, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's how that played out. Cadillac ran the ball 50 times a game. Yeah. And he was out of the league in 5 years? Broken up because he couldn't last. Again, how this is going to play out is going to be interesting. You know what? I'm not going to be hammering on the number so much. I'm going to look at the parameters of the Jalen Hurts contract. And what the structure is of it. I told you this. I would never go over 3 years with this dude. And if you're going to tell me where I'm paying him, man, I'm going to pay him in the first year of the contract because that guy is going to get hurt. And I don't want a $60 million tag on my contract when the guy's older and gets hurt more frequently, like Lamar. That's how Baltimore's looking at it. Baltimore's looking at it like this. So we're going to put a structured $50 million 5-year deal together for this guy. 50, 55, 60, whatever the parameters are and how it escalates. And we're seeing this guy miss more and more games every year, and we're going to be paying this guy $55 million to sit on the sidelines? Not me. That's what they're passing on. Baltimore is telling you right now, if the price is right, you can have him. We'll go into the draft to get one of these kids this year. My opinion, who makes the most sense? Anthony Richardson. Anthony Richardson. If I'm the Colts, Lamar's got to be on their list. He's got to be on their mind. Because you know why? Who's the head coach there? Shane Steichen. Shane Steichen runs the RPO. Steichen's got to be in that building right now going, you want to take a project in Anthony Richardson, or do you want to take an MVP at 25? You've been looking for a quarterback since Andrew Luck. You've been looking at a quarterback. We could either go Richardson or Lamar Jackson. One's going to cost you more. But you're going to be betting on a sure thing. The only problem that you have with Lamar is health. You got a running back in the building, and Jonathan Taylor. It's set up for him. Jonathan Taylor, a good old line, an RPO coach. It's the dumbest thing on the planet. You know, Indianapolis has made dumbass moves. Shane Steichen would win a lot of games. And the Indianapolis Colts would be right in the conversation with the rest of them things. Can you imagine Lamar Jackson in Indianapolis? It would be like Peyton Manning in there again, or Andrew Luck. An MVP at 25 and an RPO coach. I don't know how you don't look at that and go, it's made for television. Most of the good players have been in latter rounds. There is going to be a hidden gem in the back of the draft. Always is for the Eagles. Rarely is at the front end. Hey, this is why, again, Eagle Way. You have to be exactly like you've got to be like Mike Shanahan when you draft quarterbacks. You take RG3 in the first round, and let me hedge my bets a little bit in the 4th and 5th with Kirk Cousins. Okay, let me hedge my bets. You know what may save John Lynch's job in San Francisco? John Lynch yesterday goes like this. Well, if I had to tell you who was going to be the starting quarterback in San Francisco, it'll be Brock Purdy. What a message that is. I'll tell you what, if I was Trey Lance's people, I'd be on the phone with Rand Carthon right now, the brand new general manager of the Tennessee Titans, going, get me the F out of San Francisco. These people spent all that draft equity to get into the 2-hole. To have it 2 years later said that the general manager would rather go with Mr. Irrelevant. It's not something I think you want to hear. Some dude took his job, and John Lynch was saved by Brock Purdy. Hey, let's be candid here about something else. Bill Belichick has been so exposed as a head coach. He looks like George Seifert now. He didn't make Tom Brady. Brady made him. They haven't won a playoff game since 2018. He's 25 and 26. I don't know. He looks like Belichick Cleveland. You don't get that position right, you could turn the greatest coaches into chumps. Into chumps. Belichick is so far removed from a Super Bowl conversation right now. If I'm Bob Kraft, dude, Worm's got to turn sooner or later, because now the more years that goes on, the more years you got lucky with a 6th-round quarterback who turned out to be a diamond. And what did Brady do the whole time? He does the one thing that all the quarterbacks today don't do. What's that? He takes haircuts. He invested in himself because he invested in the roster. That's the key to this. The success for Tom Brady was never being the highest paid guy. Or what's that stupid ass thing that a lot of you guys say? Market value. He was never that. Tom Brady was never market value quarterback because he didn't look at it that way. NFLPA hated him for that. If there was a year to draft a quarterback, it would be this one. To reset the quarterback contract. Since that won't happen, the Eagles don't need 2 firsts. They should trade back twice, build for next year. Miguel, not bad. That take a lot of balls to move 2 ones out of the 1st round. Okay, it would. But hey, how about this, Miguel? I don't think any idea right now as you get closer to the draft is a bad idea. Okay? Would you rather have 2 ones? Or would you rather have 5 twos? What would you rather have? 2 ones or 5 twos? What would you rather have? I'm talking 2nd rounders. Probably one of them have to be in the 2024 draft. I'd rather have the 5 twos. Linebacker, 2 safeties, guard, actual guard. You know what? I feel pretty good about Cam Jurgens moving over. You know why? Okay, I mean, this guy's got Thomas Edison teaching him to play guard, Jeff Stoutland. I'm pretty good with that. I mean, and plus he's playing on each side of 2 Hall of Famers. I mean, I think that's going to work because of who's teaching him. Okay? Right? So I think I would rather have the 5 2. Dude, you know, if you trade the 10th pick, you're going to get a ton of 2s. Get 3 of them. Maybe even 4. 3 twos and a 3rd. The 30th pick, you probably get 2. 2 twos. Shit, you may get 2 twos and a 3 there. You get all and get this. Here's the deal with that. So you say you get 5 or 6 picks. 3 of them guys are going to hit. You're playing the law of averages here. So taking a gamble on 1 pick is disastrous for Philly. It's disastrous. They're hit or miss. Your drafting since 2000 has been hit or miss. Right? Well, shit, if it's hit or miss, give me multiple picks. Give me as many picks. And like Howie said yesterday, we're bargain shopping. We're bargain shopping. I'd rather have 7 or 8 picks. You got 6 now. If you had 11 picks, you're going to hit on 5 of them. 5 of those dudes are going to be quality players for you. Do you know what the most productive round in the NFL's history is? What round do you think is the most productive round in league history? Do you guys know? Do you guys know what round most players in the league and the league was built on? What round? What round? Eagles fan, third. The third round is the most productive round in NFL history. Okay, remember that. Just remember that. Your Super Bowl MVP was a latter round guy. Your Hall of Fame center was a latter round guy. I mean, Kelsey's going to go down as one of the greatest centers in the history of the sport next to Mike Webster. You know what shocks me? I think Lane's an Oklahoma guy. I think he went to OU. OU lineman? Really? Who? OU lineman back in my time, man, ran the wishbone. Those guys weren't good. He went to OU is amazing. Amazing. Oklahoma lineman. There you go, man. That contract in Baltimore, doesn't it make you think? Would we not agree? I'm going to take a break here in a second. Trent Williams too, dude. I mean, Trent Williams and Lane Johnson, OU tackles, amazing. Doesn't that make, would we not agree that if Howie Roseman, you consider him one of, do you not consider him one of the best general managers in the sport today? Well, I got one better than him. That was Ozzie Newsome. If Ozzie Newsome's passing on Lamar Jackson, because the style of play and the money and what it'll do to the roster, you shouldn't hesitate to think about what you're going to do with your franchise next. That's all I'm saying here, man. By the way, this is not a Jalen Hurts anything. It's no negative. It's Baltimore has to make you pause. Has to make you pause. All right. Please hit the like button. Hour number 2. I'm going to ask you about 2 players on the Eagle team. I'll tell you who those 2 guys are next. Keep it here on the National Football Show.